strategy. There's no end game here. There's no exit strategy. And we don't have a leader. I'll tell you the speech that I would give if I was the leader. And I'll keep it really, really short. But I would say, look, we acted badly. We have become so hysterical about racism that we were afraid of closing airports. In fact, the airports of Canada are still open. We've done a terrible job of protecting you as a country. And we have to confess that. We have to deal with that, much like Churchill had to say about Chamberlain's appeasement at the eve of World War II, and to say, well, the wrong policies were pursued, and very, very bad things have occurred as a result of that. So now what we have to do is we have to keep our society going. We have a new variable in the air, literally. We have a new equation in society, which is the Wuhan flu, the Wuhan virus. And we need to re-examine our relations with China. We need to re-examine our commitment to the World Health Organization and the UN and all of the other alphabet soup of umbrella organizations that seem to be shielding some extraordinarily bad and dangerous people. We need to re-examine all of this. This is a wake-up call for how far we've drifted from truth, morality, and reality as a society. So all of that needs to occur at the governmental level. What needs to happen at your level is you need to buckle down and face up to the fact that we're going to lose some people. We're going to lose some people because China lied. We're going to lose some people because we in the government were so afraid of being called racist that we did not act to protect you and contain this virus within China where it could have been dealt with. We didn't do what Russia did, which was close its borders like that. We didn't do it. So clearly we've let this whole racism thing take over our common sense to the point where we lack basic self-protection. So we need to re-examine our whole everything's racist and everyone's a racist hysteria. But we're going to have to reopen, and some of you are going to get sick, and some of you are going to die, and that's a terrible thing. But there's no point pretending otherwise. You know, if we were starting a war and we were drafting all these young men, we wouldn't say to all these young men, everything's going to be fine. We would say to these young men, and they would know it anyway, but we would say it to them, you're going to go overseas by the millions. You're going to get involved in terrible fights. Some of you will survive. Many of you will be wounded, and many of you will die. That's the reality of war. And now that the Chinese communist virus has been unleashed upon the world, people are going to get sick and people are going to die. And that's a real shame. But hiding out in our cellars, hoping that death is going to pass us by, simply brings him closer. Because we hide out in our cellars. And we don't do what is necessary to survive as a culture, which is to get out and work despite the dangers. We hide in the basement. We hide in our cellars. We are not solving the problem. We are only making the problem worse. Because when we're hiding out in our cellars, we're not doing the essential work that is necessary to keep us alive. We are not growing the food. We are not shipping the food. We are not doing the healthcare that we need. We are not performing the essential machinery of functionality that our society needs in order to survive, that we all need in order to survive. And so hiding out in our cellars, we are doing not to avoid the coronavirus, but to avoid the truth of our massive societal failure that allowed all of this to happen. And the longer we hide, the worse it's going to get. So we need to all get together and have serious conversations without hysterical finger pointing of racism and so on. We need to have serious conversations about how the hell we got into this mess and how we can work as hard as possible, as honestly as possible, to ensure it never, ever happens again. And let us also look to those who saw the warnings early that we have speared and lied about and figure out what they have to say. Because whatever sins we think they may have committed, if we'd listened to them, thousands and thousands of lives would have been saved. Because the borders would have been closed, and this hell-sent communist virus would never have landed on our shores, in our lungs, and taken out many of our mothers and fathers and grandparents. So we have a lot of radical reevaluation to do as a society. We've been living in a dream world as if the world is safe and everyone's friendly, and the only dangers are imaginary Nazis from 70 years ago marching through our fevered imaginations. We need to wake up to the real dangers of the world. We need to stop living in a fantasy of eternal protection We need to start saving money as a society again, because these kinds of disasters are going to occur. And we need to break down everything and raise it from the ground up so that we are smart and sensible rather than deluded, vicious, frightened, and hiding, because that is no way to live. So I would say something like that, but there's nobody who's going to bring this kind of stuff up. Nobody makes those speeches anymore in politics. It landed in December. Border closures would have helped, but how much? Well, of course it would have helped, because you could have found the people and contained it. Have you not seen these movies? All right. China patented the virus. I don't know about that, but they certainly patented remdesivir. F China. Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. Do you think China is worried? No. No, they know that the media will attack anyone who puts out the facts about China. How can we stop the deluded Marxists? Well, you've got to defund the universities. My God, you have to defund the universities. Universities should be entirely dependent upon the full price of their services being paid for by their customers. And having governments shore up student loans, having governments protect universities and professors from competition is ultimately what has caused this problem. I mean, these problems go back 150 years till the start of the takeover of education by the government in the 1850s, the 1860s, the 1870s. So, no, you simply must cancel all government funding of universities so that they actually serve the culture rather than their leftist masters. Right. Is there a second wave of corona infections coming? Well, sure. I mean, the virus is still out there. Everyone's hiding at home, and when they stop hiding at home, you'll get a second wave. Do you have faith in our economy, or should we be investing in America? But this is the only chance the West has to survive, is this kind of wrenching change. How can we abolish the welfare state? How can we deal with the repercussions of it? Well, we have to abolish the welfare state by appealing to women's nobility. And women are noble, but nobility is something that lies within us, ready to be summoned by eloquence at any given time. It's why sophists can be so dangerous, and stateswomen, and eloquent speakers can be so powerful. So what we do is we say to women that a terrible mistake has been made. The forcible transfer of wealth to you has been a terrible mistake. And throughout all of human history, it is men who have had to sacrifice themselves for the sake of maintaining civilization. It is men who have had to go to war. It is men who have had to dig the ditches and make the sewers and build the high buildings and create and protect women. There's a reason why labor-saving devices like washing machines were invented for women before life-saving devices like masks for coal miners were invented for men. Throughout all of human history, it is the men who've been forced, sometimes, or volunteered, to sacrifice themselves to save society. I mean, look at the movie Titanic, women and children first. Look at all of history, women and children first. Men have been disposable, men have been sacrificed, but men cannot sacrifice themselves to save the West at the moment. Only women can do that. Only women can do that. Because the welfare state is a single mother state. So women have to, for the first time in human history, because, you all wanted equality, right? You all wanted equality, and I'm sure that you understand that equality doesn't just mean all the cool things. It also means the downside, right? So the downside is, and nobody's asking you to go to war. Nobody's asking you to get your boobs shot off or anything like that. What we're saying is, in order to save the West, we have to cut spending, and we have to reduce the incentives for people to come here for free stuff, which means we have to eliminate the welfare state. Now women say, but this is very tough for me. I understand it's very tough for you. But it's not as tough as going to war, which is what men have had to do for the last, 150,000 freaking years. So you wanted equality, now you get equality. You have to give up the welfare state in order to save our society. In order to save us from endless indebtedness, in order to save us from endless waves of mass immigration, the welfare state has to close. Now, I know it's difficult, but that's what being a responsible and mature member of society is. Sometimes you have to do what's difficult. And you are smart women. You will figure this out. You will figure out how to get rolling people to take care of your kids so you can go and work. You can figure out how to go and attract nice guys so that you can get settled down with someone and maybe start a family in addition to the children that you have. But the welfare state has to go. And If you care about the future of femininity as a whole, if you care about women as a whole at all, then you have to give up the welfare state. If you don't give up the welfare state, society is going to collapse, and men will never let women anywhere near political power ever again. Because it will be like, well, we want all the free stuff, but we don't want any responsibility whatsoever, and we're not willing to make any sacrifices. Well, you will simply destroy any potential for female economic advancement for the entire future history of the planet. So. All right.